back to my channel. I am Dr. Renee Sunday, and I am the platform builder. Podcast, everywhere, podcast. You hear that all the time, and I know you have subscribed to many. I know I have, but people want to know podcasting for beginners. What do I start? How do I name my podcast? How do I do this? I do have a message to share to the world, but how do I do it? Well, thank you for joining us today. I will answer those questions. I will give you information, and actually, I'm going to give you a resource that actually walks you through the whole process of how you can launch your podcast and make sure it's profitable. And we actually can do that today. You can go down to the thing at the bottom. It says how to launch your podcast checklist. And that's at podcastwinning.com. So how podcast everywhere, Dr. Sunday. So how do I do this? I'm a beginner. I want to do it, but I want to do it in the spirit of excellence. I want to do it that is actually profitable. I want to do it and do it with ease. Well, I'm glad you're at the right place. Well, first of all, let's get a definition going. What is a podcast? A podcast, in my opinion, is a tool that we actually, or a medium that we share our message with the world, that we get information out about our mission, about our movement, about our products, and about our services. Because you don't want to be the best kept secret. You don't want to be behind the scenes. It's time for you to come to the forefront. It's time for you to actually be seen, be heard, and get paid. And the way that I actually can do this, I am known as the platform builder. So what I do is I increase your visibility for your brand awareness. You know, we have to be out there. And we actually want you to have that visibility. We want you to be seen, be heard, and we want to have the ching ching, right? We want the profit to come. You know, I heard this the other day that you can tell when people are not making, being successful in regards of the money area, because what they'll say is they want to make money. Well, people that have already made money, they talk in different terms. It's a higher level of thinking. Now they actually want to know, guess what? How to be profitable. So we actually need to change the way we're actually thinking, that we actually is in a high level of learning. Now, I know I have to do that myself. So I'm not telling you anything that I don't have to do, because what the saying, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. So we actually need to bring that mentality up, that we actually can be seen, be heard, and get paid, right? So that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do, guess what? Beginners, what we do as beginners. Well, you know the definition. I have told you what the definition of podcasting. Well, the next thing we actually have to go to is, Dr. Sunday, how do I name my podcast? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, there's several ways of naming it. I actually myself, I have Dr. Renee Sunday show. So I named it after myself, but I had an established brand when I actually was able to do that. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in poverty in Birmingham, Alabama. To Birmingham, Alabama. My parents actually was very involved in the civil rights movement. I'm like, shout out to them to pave the way of where we are today. Okay. Then I was that nagging sister. Okay. Can anybody relate? I was that nagging sister. So I have a beautiful role model as my sister. She's 4 years ahead of me, right? She always called me big sister, but she's 4 years ahead of me, and she's a physician. And I was always in her books. I was always reading. Lo and behold, I am a physician as well. I have been an anesthesiologist for 20 years. I'm board certified. Yes, I am. Okay, you got to be board certified. And also I am award winning. I have been awarded not once, but twice as the top anesthesiologist in the United States. So I'm just very grateful and humble to be, guess what, on the front line. I never realized lines. We were on the front line, but I'm grateful that we're on the front line. Okay. All right. Service is in my DNA. Okay. So I actually, my brother passed away about 10 years ago. I wrote a book, and that was my therapy. Okay. About my therapy, a degree process. And I wrote a book. At that time in 2013, nobody, especially physicians, was on social media. So I got on social media to promote my book. And whoop, whoop, of course, I got best-selling author, right? Of course. But people would inbox me and say, how can you be so motivational when it comes to grief? Well, I didn't know the answer to that because it was a natural thing. But I actually realized that was my secret sauce, that I actually can talk about difficult things, and I can talk about it with grace. I can talk about it that helps inspire and motivate someone else to go forward in their purpose, and this journey that we call life. So then after that, I actually, someone inboxed me, not even talking to me on the phone, not even knowing me. They wanted me to be part of their radio and TV and magazine. So I did that for about a year, but everyone kept saying, Dr. Sunday, you need to do your own thing. And I'm like, no. But I stepped out on faith. I stepped out. I got the fear and knocked it away. And I actually stopped self-sabotaging my own self. So I actually have Good Deeds Magazine. We have Good Deeds Television. And the podcast is actually named by myself. And the reason we did that, my lifelong sponsor actually said, won't you do this? That's one of the things we want you to do, is just put things out with your name more. So that's where Dr. Renee Sunday podcast came. And guess what? A lot of things, my branding totally changed. Now that's a different conversation that I need to come back and talk to you about, the way to rebrand and the way to brand and do it that it actually is profitable to you. So that's how I actually got my name for Dr. Renee Sunday. So you can name it if you have an established brand or you have a catchy name, you can actually name it after yourself. Now, the second way people do it is they name their podcast after what their topic is. So if you look, one that I listen to all the time is the 8-figure it's called the 8-figure business podcast, and they have 7-figure podcasts. They even have them for mompreneurs, insights, whatever the topic or the genre or even the theme, you can name your podcast after that. Okay, so that's the distinction you need to do. You need to see where you are with your mission and your movement, and that actually will let you know how you can actually name your podcast. Okay, so that's the science behind it. Now, we do have name generators. We have a free name generator that can help you as well to make sure it's not already taken. But just a quick way of doing it, you can always go over to iTunes and then Google the name that you're talking about, and you'll see if somebody else have that name, because the key is you don't want to have a name that somebody else have. You don't want to do that, because you want to have your uniqueness, because you have your secret sauce that's actually just for you. Before you were born, that was already predestined for you to do that. Okay. Now I know you guys are liking, sharing, and commenting on this video, so we can actually have more information that come up that you actually need to be able to apply, because somebody else right now, they want to do this as well. So don't be jealous. They said caring is sharing, right? All right, that's what it is. Don't be a selfish person and keep all the information to you. So the next thing is, Dr. Sunday, I've named my podcast. Well, you need to figure out, are you going to actually, guess what? Are you going to do a podcast once a week? I would advise more than once a month, but are you going to do it once a week, twice a week? Are you going to do it twice a month? Now, me personally, I've started off in the back with the radio show. I was doing twice a week live. Okay. Here with the podcast, the Dr. Renee Sunday Show podcast, I do twice a week as well, but majority of it is pre-recorded. Most people don't know that, but a majority of them at this season in my life is pre-recorded because I wear so many hats. And if you realize, if you get in the podcast industry, really 95% of them are pre-recorded, but they do a great branding in regards of actually making it happen. So that's what usually happens with that. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is you have to be honest with yourself. I'm going to just put that there. You got to be honest with yourself that you're going to be able to keep that commitment. So if you're going to do once a week, you need to stay with that once a week. If you're going to do twice a week, you need to stay with that. Okay, because your audience is going to be relying on you to be there, that they actually can get the information, right? That they actually, you can bring awareness to them, that you actually can get the information to them. So that's what we got to make sure that we do. Okay, now the last thing I want to cover in this session is we need to make sure, we need to decide. I talked about it briefly. Are we going to do it live or are we going to do pre-recorded? Now, it's really up to you and the commitment that you're going to do. Now, I do a lot of the things. I am a publisher. I'm an international speaker. I'm actually a lot of things. I'm a consultant. I'm a coach. And of course, I still do anesthesia as well. So with all of that, I'm better off at this point in my life pre-recording. So what you need to do is realize what's best for you. But as I said earlier briefly, that most of the podcasts now, about 95, I may even want to say 98% of them is actually pre-recorded. But what you need to realize is what commitment that you're going to do, that you're going to be successful, and also that you don't dread, and guess what? Dread, I'm going to say that, of doing what you have been called to do. And that is help people, impact people, and give them the information that they can make wise decisions on this journey that we call life. Okay, right. So what I want to do is, that was just a snippet of the things that you need to know as for a beginner of doing podcasts. Now, please get that little checklist, because the checklist goes more in detail. Again, it's called podcastwinning.com. Now, some people on here may already say, you know what, Dr. Sunday, I already have a podcast, but I don't know, I'm not being successful. I'm not making profit. Well, we actually can do a podcast audit. We can jump on the phone and I can actually tell you the best thing that you need to do right now, because it does change, that you can actually make profit. So you can actually go to our website, reneesunday.com, and actually you can fill out our contact information and we can actually give you information about that. If you say, Dr. Sunday, I want to just start this thing all over. When I started it, it wasn't what it's supposed to be. Okay. So we're going to actually start this thing over. We do have a 4-week intensive that we actually get it done from idea all the way to production and launching your podcast successfully. And that is at podcastprofitformula.com. What I want to let you know is you can do this if you put your mind to it. You know, I said it earlier, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. And we don't want you to waste that, because right now, someone needs your product and service. Right now, someone needs the information that they actually can move forward in their dreams, purpose, and their destiny in life. What I want to let you know is you do have a calling. You do have a reason you're born. You're not a mistake. We have to, I included, we have to do 3 things. We have to believe, we have to trust, and we have to walk it out. And we have to, don't stop, get it, don't stop, get it. That's what we got to do. And what are we getting, Dr. Sunday? We're getting our purpose, and we're getting our purpose now, right? So we have to be seen, be heard, and get paid. And we love you so, and we'll see you next time. Come back to my channel, subscribe to the channel. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.